Today, I want to talk about the importance of expressing our desires. I want to talk about the importance of expressing our desires because I know from experience that when we don't express our desires, they trickle inwards and create cancers both metaphorically and physically. Why? Because they generate, or the repression of them generates resentment. We either resent other people for either not, for reading our desires off of our face, divining our desires. That's the word I was looking for. Or we hate ourselves, or resent ourselves for not being able to express them in the first place. So you can see how this can become quite a big catch-22. So we're there, we have a desire, and all of a sudden Johnny over there, or Sally, is not divining it from our face. So they're not meeting our desires, and we're not putting it forth. Why? Maybe because we feel like we don't deserve it. Maybe because we feel like we're testing that other person. Have you ever felt that one where you wanted that other person to divine it on your face just to see whether or not they really liked you, or to see whether or not they really cared about you? For those of you in relationships, you might want to listen up to that one. To see whether or not they really understood who you were. And then guess what? They're not reading it. They're not getting it. They're happy in La La Land, eating their ice cream, going, this is so good. Meanwhile, you're sitting there going, can't you see what I want right now? And they're thinking to themselves, this is just the best time of my life. I'm getting everything I want. And look, you over there, you're so satisfied. This is great because you're still smiling, right? Have you ever done that? Have you ever been seething inside, but really were smiling on the outside, and what you really wanted to do is just speak your mind? Tell that other person, I hate you. Won't you open your eyes and see how I'm just boiling and my blood is red hot and steam's coming out of my ears? And they're still not getting it. Johnny's still eating his ice cream and Sally's still twirling her hair, thinking that they're having the best time ever. And you're suffering. Well, why don't you just say something? Well, I know why you don't just say something, right? I already said it. Because you either feel like you don't deserve to speak up, or you're afraid to speak up, or, this is the best one of all, you're not comfortable with them saying no. You're not comfortable with not getting your desire. But do you see the problem here? You're not comfortable not getting your desire, so you don't express what your desire is, and guess what? Da-na-na, you got it. You don't get your desire. So by not expressing it, you can't get it. Oh, well, there's a possibility that Johnny might do it either way. So I like to explain Sartre's kiss, right? His view on responsibility, right? And I bring that up in different examples or different circumstances, but here it applies a little bit. So he talks about a woman, and the woman is, and I'm sort of stretching it for my own purposes here, at a party, and she's waiting for a man to sort of come and manipulate her. And I shouldn't say that she's waiting for a man to come and manipulate her, because really she's just there, right? And she's not doing anything. She's just allowing things to be done to her. So meanwhile, a man catches her eye. This is a beautiful girl, he thinks to himself. And she seems pretty open enough, so he goes up to her and he does his thing. He charms her, he romances her. He really does none of those things, because all she's doing is just allowing whatever happens to her to occur, right? Have you ever done that? Just sort of said, all right, I'm putting myself in this other person's hands. But see, it gets worse, because then we have to start thinking about the kiss. And the kiss is where it really starts to get interesting in my mind, because I've talked about this before, but this is the real juice of things. And I know you've been there before, when you're sitting there with someone who you're really attracted to, and there's that moment where you're thinking to yourself, is it on? Does this person like me? Is it time now? Is it time now? Is it time now? And the whole time your heart's beating really fast and you're thinking, should I do it? Should I do it? Should I do it? Are they going to do it? And really all you're waiting for is a telltale sign. Really all you're waiting for is some definite indication that you can be certain that this person is going to accept your advances. And guess what? How often do you get that? I would never have kissed anyone in my entire life if I always got that. But afterwards, you certainly know. Oh yeah, I have stories of going in and it was not on. I definitely have stories. I also have stories of going in and it was totally on. It was on 5 hours ago. And all I could think to myself later was, what the hell were we wasting our time for? We could have been having a greater time this whole time. And of course, I'm thinking about my girlfriend, Courtney. Hi, Courtney. But the thing is that I'm sure there were other times, and by the way, this kiss is just a metaphor. It's just something that we've wanted, which seems to have to rely on other people's approval or other people's jurisdiction to move forward with, right? There were those other times where we didn't go in for the kiss. We didn't get that sign. We waited, and the moment ended, and it passed, and we walked away. And we never decided one way or the other. It's not like we decided, oh, I'm not going to go for the kiss. What we really decided is to allow the other person to run our lives. And I know I've talked about that before, but I want to bring it up in this circumstance for talking about our desires, bringing it to a bigger perspective. Because by not expressing our desires explicitly, we're not living. We're reacting. We're not free. We're a slave to circumstance because we're not moving in a direction that we want to go in. We're allowing other things to happen to us that we respond to, either by frowning or by smiling, not by acting. So, when you're in that situation, you're standing in front of Johnny and Sally and you have a desire, express it. Think about that. What would happen if I expressed my desires fully and completely? And some of you might think, oh, that person would hate me. Oh my God, it would be so terrible. They would never speak to me again. And guess what? If that's how you think, then are you going to express your desires? No way. And are you going to get what you want in those situations? Well, guess what? Probably not. I mean, how often have you been just on a phone call with someone and you had a desire, I gotta get off the phone with you right now, or been in a conversation? It just happened to me today where I was talking to someone and I had another person waiting for me at a table and we had a meeting and I was thinking to myself, wow, God, if I just let this person continue talking, I'm gonna keep my meeting waiting and I don't want to do that, right? But if I wasn't able to express my desires, I would have been stuck in that conversation for 20 minutes. Instead, I said, Nancy, great to meet you, and I'll talk to you later. And I moved on. And fantastic. I expressed my want. Well, beyond just expressing my want, I initiated my want. That's another... So, I'm going to wrap things up right now, but here's what I want you to get out of this talk right now. That you have two choices. You can express your desires, or you can repress your desires. And why would you ever repress your desires? The only reason I can think of is so you could get them, right? The reason why you're repressing it is that you think if you express it, you're going to lose all possibility of attaining it. But I think that's a really bad way of looking at the situation. I think that's a surefire way to not get what you want. Because that whole time, while you're holding back, thinking to yourself, oh, if I push it, I'm going to lose it. Well, guess what? You're losing it. You are losing it. If you're not reeling the fish in, the fish is going all the way out. And when it hits the end of the cord, well, it might be too long before you can reel it back in. And sure enough, let's just say that there's nothing to catch. Well, I'd rather find out sooner, wouldn't you? Why stress out about it longer than you have to? Say the truth fast. That way it's out and it's done. And you don't have to deal with it being inside anymore. You say what you want and you don't have to dismiss it. That's the second part of this. That's another really important part of it, right? Because if you say what you want and you just dismiss it, well then, have you really said what you want? No, because that other person can go, oh, well, if you're dismissing it, then I guess you don't really want this. You confuse them. You send mixed signals. Own what you want. Aren't you good enough to deserve all of your desires? Aren't you good enough to have what you want? Why in the world for you even for a second to doubt it? Second to doubt that you shouldn't or cannot have everything you want. Because if you start choosing, oh, I can have this, but I can't have that, I guarantee you, you're going to go too far. And pretty soon, it's going to become a matter of, well, I can't have anything. And I'm sure you know people in that situation who never express their desires. And how happy are those people? They probably suffer. They're probably miserable. Because how are you supposed to be happy if you're not getting what you want? If you're getting everything that you don't want, then it's pretty darn hard to be happy. Now, don't get me wrong, okay? I mean, Takun says, cultivate having no preferences. Okay, fine. We could be samurais. We could all be enlightened monks here and have no preferences. And just accept whatever comes our way, right? So we don't get what we want, but we can want whatever we get. Fine. Okay. We can have that perspective. But let me just tell you one thing. That if you don't have that perspective, and you're just pretending to, well then you have solved nothing. You have just dug yourself and the person that you're dealing with deeper into a grave, because here's the deal, that you're not the only person that suffers by not getting what you want. Everyone around you does too. Right? Remember the last time you didn't get what you wanted? And it could have been a big thing, it could have been a small thing. Maybe you didn't get a raise or promotion or the job you were looking for, or a grade that you wanted, or you set a goal for your day and you didn't complete it. And do you remember maybe being a little disturbed by this? And do you remember maybe even taking that out a little bit on the people around you, your friends, your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister, your spouse? Well, that's just it. That if we're not expressing ourselves and we're not giving ourselves the option to get what we want, because why would we want to stay in a situation that we didn't get what we want? Let's just say we're with a partner who's not giving us what we want. And we've told them exactly what we wanted. We've stated it clearly. We haven't over-exaggerated. We haven't tried to make things work. We haven't allowed them to divine our wants and wishes, to read our minds. But we've told them clearly, this is what I want you to do, and in action terms. Not to care about me more, because what does that mean? But to define it. I want you to hand me a tissue every time I sniffle. That's what I want you to do. And then they're never handing you a tissue. Well, guess what? Why would you want to stay in that relationship? What are you getting from it? If you're not getting what you want, you're getting nothing. See, I don't like people who don't like me. That's a principle in my life that I abide by. So I don't spend my time around people who don't respect me or who don't like me. It's very simple, because that's what I want from a relationship. I want someone who charges me, challenges me, and likes me and supports me. If you don't give that to me, get the fuck out of my life. Excuse my language, but that's so simple. But then again, I'm clear about it. If someone's not giving me what I want, I'll tell them, you're not giving me what I want right now. I'll let them know. Why? Because I know that maybe they can surprise me. I know that maybe right now I feel like it's impossible for them to give me that thing. But guess what? I also know that if I don't give them the option to know what it is I want, then I give them no ability to grant me my desires. And I ensure that we're not going to have a good relation. So keep this in mind. It is so vital. It is so important. And it has the ability to make or break all of your relationships. And what do I mean by that? What I mean is that you might think that you're not getting what you want because someone can't give it to you. But really, you might not be getting what you want. This bad feeling that you might be having is because you're not asking for what you want. And if you really think about it, you might look back on your life and see relationships, friendships that have died because you weren't clear and direct about what you wanted in ways that other people could give those desires and grant those desires to you. So much love, many blessings, and ask for what you want without a demand that you need to receive it or the other person needs to change. Allow them to be themselves, but make sure that they hear you.